The emergency poop story. Your partner's trauma is a gift. The hokey pokey is messing you up. She saw her touch my penis. My narcissistic behaviors. My managing severe narcissism. Why are you afraid of rejection? The emergency poop story. Welcome to the Morrow Marriage podcast, guys. And I thought this would be fun. Kathryn and I were talking about something that happened at home the other day, maybe 2 days ago, because we did an episode including triggers about 6 episodes ago. Okay. So without further ado, my wife.
Oh, okay. So I get to tell you the story. Okay. So Finn, my favorite dog, is sick right now, and I had to collect his poop. So a couple days ago, I had to collect poop from our other dog who also has diarrhea. So I've been feeling a little bit upset because I'm worried 2 dogs are sick. We lost a dog to a similar situation a few years ago, and so I've been worried. Mm-hmm. I called the vet to make an appointment for Finn, and they said if you can get a fresher poop sample, because it was yesterday I collected it, if you can get a fresher one, please try to do that. So I let the dogs outside yesterday, not really thinking, and then I was like, oh my gosh, Finn, wait. And then I looked over into the field, and he's doing his little poop squat, and I was like, he's pooping. Honey, get me a plastic bag, please. Please get me a Ziploc now. And I ran over to Finn, and then I was like, kids, get mama a Ziploc. And I waited for Finn, and the kids got up, Cass came out with the Ziploc, gave it to me, I collected the poop, I put it in the fridge, and then I came up to him and I said, thank you so much for getting that. And I said I wouldn't have been able to do that, whatever it was, 5 years ago, 3, I guess. How many years? It's been a few years now. It's been 4 years. So I wouldn't have been able to do that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, because he would have gotten really upset at me ordering him around. Mm-hmm. So I was just panicked, needing to do something, needing to do it quick, needing to collect his poop. And I said, please, I told him what I needed, but I was obviously elevated, running across the yard, which would have triggered him before. And I obviously got triggered because as soon as I asked him, I then followed it with, kids, you go do it. Please get mama a plastic bag.
Right. Yeah.
Thinking, oh my gosh, I just ordered my husband around. This is what he doesn't like, because I couldn't react that way during an emergency years ago.
That's right. Yeah.
It would have been hell for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What we have to understand here is there's a few things. Okay. The most important lesson I think that we can give you today is, even though you've done a lot of work and in this case, me, a lot of work there. And then Kathryn, you see how fast she quickly switched to the way she would operate. You have to understand the past is still there sometimes. Okay. But when we allow ourselves to fall into that reality that's unreal today, then you're going to go down the negative rabbit hole. And this is really important because this could tie into so many other things, right? Kathryn could have thought about being yelled at for ordering me around. Kathryn could have thought about, 7-day lectures, keeping her up all night. It could have gone down a lot of different paths, because those paths each would go to a different path.
And then I would have been sabotaging if I did that.
That's right. And so it's really important to recognize and lift. We talk a lot on this podcast about lifting your partner through their changes. That's why she came over after and said, wow, thank you. I could never have done this years ago, And it's important to lift your partner that way, because it's not that I need it, but I think more for Kathryn, she's recognizing, okay, it's totally different.
And it's totally safe. Mm-hmm. A situation that in a healthy relationship wouldn't cause a problem. See, it just happened. It didn't cause a problem. He didn't bat an eyelash. Mm-hmm. He just actually saw that I was in a panic, got up, got what I needed, handed it to me, said you're welcome, and he was just going to go on about his business, because he probably doesn't actually remember what it was like before, because it's a trigger for me, mm-hmm. not a trigger for him. Mm-hmm. He's moved past it. He doesn't think I'm just ordering him around. I was the one that got triggered. And so it's important for me to come and thank him and just acknowledge, hey, this is how far we've come. And the reason we want to share this is because even when you're in a healthy relationship, even when you've gotten past all of these things, it doesn't mean that it won't creep in. The past can still creep in. Even I do everything I can not to bring the past in. In fact, I don't remember a lot of it. I think a lot of it I've blocked, a lot of it I've healed from. I've just intentionally moved past. Mm-hmm. But in this situation, you couldn't anticipate that it was going to happen. Then when it does happen, the trigger happens so quickly that there is a recovery process after. He didn't need me to thank him, but it's good to acknowledge always. Mm-hmm. And I did need to thank him, because for me, it was realization, oh my gosh, look what just happened. We're normal, which I already knew. But every time you prove it to yourself after you've gotten over the hump of unhealthiness, it feels really good to just be able to just live and ask your husband for a poop bag.
Now, yeah, or maybe more. But
maybe more.
But why that's really important is because we spend a lot of time talking to you guys about how, you want to create the life that you want. Okay. And in those triggers, you're going to create the life that you don't want. Okay. Is the gratitude necessary? Well, yeah, we talk about it every day. The fact is I don't need it. Maybe she needed it more to recognize. But you do these things because otherwise it's really easy to become complacent and then slip backwards. Okay. So the recognition of us, of me, of Kathryn being able to, which is another really good point. I mean, you guys have to understand, in an emergency, forget masculine and feminine for a second. In an emergency, you will have some panic at times. Okay. Yes, I'm going to teach you, of course, men especially, handle it, deal with it. There's two kinds of men, one that can deal with stress, one that can't deal with stress. But you're still going to be elevated at times, depending on what it is. This case, this is Kathryn's favorite dog, and like, oh my gosh, if something happened to Finn, okay? So we need this poop ASAP, stat. Got it? Okay? Yes. Now, I can't hold that against Kathryn, but something similar happened where we didn't have the same response, right? Do you remember?
The chickens.
The chickens, right? There was a big Texas storm, and Kathryn was panicking about getting the chickens into the coop, and she didn't realize, or didn't really connect the dots, because I don't talk about what I do with the animals or the coops or whatever. I just do it. Okay. And so she's just in panic mode about this Texas storm coming down.
Getting the door closed on the coop.
That's right. And, I didn't actually handle it the same way. I said something like, yeah, I always do, babe, or something like that. And then I was kind of sharp with you a little bit later, right? I always help you. You don't have to do that. Right. But really, it's the same thing. It's just an emergency.
Right. And he was like, you don't have to yell at me. I'm right here.
That's what
and
it was.
I didn't realize that I was yelling. I thought he was further away. I was projecting my voice because I was in panic mode, protect the chickens. I wasn't actually yelling at my husband. But this is good because this was almost exactly a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so
we grow all the time, guys.
And not only that, but like it could be something tomorrow and maybe we'll still make a mistake. You guys have to understand it's just the dynamic. Okay. Yes, there's masculine energy. Yes, I want to be able to be there for her. Yes, I shouldn't have to go back to her and say that to her. However, we're not perfect. So even though that was a year ago and this is like a new test a year later, let's call it, that doesn't mean I won't mess up again. And you guys have to give each other grace for that. In a heightened state, even if you're, let's say we're going with the man being masculine, being strong, it's going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but listen, whatever you feel is what you feel, right? If that's your favorite dog, maybe you're panicking. I need to see the poop. You get the bag. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going to happen for you, but we can just remember to give each other grace for that sort of stuff. Give each a little bit of mercy. Like, come on. Nobody's going to be perfect. And I think a lot of people, we see this all the time where you're doing so much better. And then when something doesn't go the way that your partner should be doing things, especially if you're in a program, oh, I expect more from you. What would Cass say is something that wives say to my men a lot.
Brutal.
And I think that's horseshit. Like, you're talking about undoing 40 years of history. Are you moving forward or not? Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add to the poop story?
No.
Okay. We'll see you next time.
Bye.